Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Will Glen Neighborhood Association Candidate Forum for the 28th Assembly District. One of these fine individuals will be representing Willow Glen and voting on legislation which will affect Willow Glen residents. Assembly District 28, due to recent redistricting, now contains Willow Glen, Cambrian, Almaden Valley, Morgan Hill, Los Gatos, Monte Sereno, Scotts Valley, Boulder Creek, and Santa Cruz. The Willow Glen Neighborhood Association will be celebrating their 50th anniversary in the coming year, 2023. Our board is represented by Deanna Mirzagan, Mitch Ehrlich, Kathleen Almocino, Brian Yee, Mary Fox, Maren Sedequist, Jose Salcido, Helen Hutchings, Leanne Lindenloff, and myself, Pierluigi Oliverio. Candidates, you will have 1 minute to introduce yourselves and 1 minute for a closing statement. We will rotate who answers each question first. After yes or no questions, we will have general questions with time limits. Candidates may rebut other candidates for 30 seconds, and the candidate challenged has 30 seconds to respond. Kathleen Almocino will keep time, and when the time expires, she's simply going to say thank you. And then if the candidate keeps on talking, she'll be saying thank you again until the point is made. Tonight, we have Councilwoman Liz Lawler, a graduate of UC Berkeley, and retired County Clerk Gail Pellerin, a graduate of Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. For the purposes of this forum, are both candidates comfortable being addressed by your first name?
Absolutely.
Yes. Great. So we will start in alphabetical order. So Liz, you have 1 minute to introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. It is so nice to be here tonight. Thank you to the Willow Glen Neighborhood Association for hosting this forum for us. My name is Liz Lawler, and I'm running for State Assembly, District 28, to restore much needed balance, accountability, and cooperation to Sacramento. We have had one-party rule for decades, and we are now living with the consequences of a policy first, figure it out later mentality. Our schools, once some of the best, have plummeted to 44th in the nation. We rank dead last in the nation in terms of business climate and 47th in the nation for taxpayer return on investment. Think about that. Yet Sacramento continues business as usual, ramming through policies that do not benefit from robust debate. It is time we elect common sense, pragmatic problem solvers to our state legislature. Leaders who think about the long-term implications of our policies, not the short-term optics. Leaders who care about the impacts on everyday Californians. The choice is clear. Do you want more of the same, or do you want a common sense leader who will prioritize you? I am that leader. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. Gail, you now have 1 minute to introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Gail Pellerin. I stand for equity, dignity, and integrity for myself and for others. I started my career in the California State Assembly and have experience working on legislation and the state budget. For more than 27 years, I served as the chief elections official and was elected 4 times as the county clerk. And as county clerk, I implemented creative programs to make government accessible, such as the Vote-Mobile, Passport Saturdays. I found a way to stay open during the global pandemic so couples could continue to get married. I believe that love was essential. After 35 years in public service at both the local and state levels, I am ready to make a bigger impact driven by my passion for connection with the community and my desire to shape policy around mental health, affordable housing, homelessness, climate change, education, and public safety. I believe that democracy can only thrive if elected officials involve the community in solving the problems you face. I commend all of you for being here tonight. I look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Gail. Now, moving on, I think there's no better way to demonstrate to our residents what the state does than by reviewing statewide ballot measures. For this one, if you would please respond yes or no. And this, again, this is a good way for understand state authority rather than local government. So starting with Gail, Prop 1, constitutional right to abortion.
Yes.
Liz?
Yes, if amended.
Moving on to Prop 26, allows Indian gaming to have more gambling options such as sports betting. Liz?
No.
Gail?
I have not decided yet.
Okay. Prop 27 allows online sports betting outside of Indian casinos. Gail?
No.
Liz?
No.
Prop 28 mandates a portion of existing education budget be allocated for arts and music education in K through 12 public schools. Liz?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Okay, moving on. Prop 29, new state regulation on kidney dialysis clinics. Gail?
Undecided.
Liz?
No.
Fun fact, this is the third time kidney dialysis clinics have been on the ballot, and it was defeated both in 2018 and 2020. Prop 30 increases taxes on personal income over $2 million to reduce air pollution and prevent wildfires. Liz.
No.
Gail.
Yes.
Prop 31, ban flavored tobacco products. Gail.
Yes.
Liz.
Yes.
Okay, now let's go back to 2020 and review the state propositions and ask how you voted.
Oh my gosh.
Prop 15 eliminates Proposition 13 protections for commercial and industrial land. Liz.
No.
Gail.
Yes.
It failed. Moving on, Prop 16, affirmative action repeals Prop 209. Gail.
I can't even remember. I don't remember.
What was Prop 209 again?
So Prop 209 is the current state law, which does not allow affirmative action. Prop 16 was trying to repeal it. So I'll ask again, Gail, how did you vote?
It was repealing affirmative action.
And once again, the current state law in California is Prop 209, which does not permit affirmative action. Proposition 16 was to repeal Prop 209. How did you vote?
I do not remember how I voted. If I would probably have voted to repeal Prop 209. I don't remember. I'm sorry.
Fair enough.
I don't remember.
Liz.
No.
So that, and no is what happened. It failed. The voters rejected it.
I think it was no. Yes. No.
Prop 17 restores right to vote for felons. Liz.
I don't recall.
Okay. Gail.
Trying to remember.
Okay.
Prop 17. I usually write all this stuff down. I try to remember it. I would say it was repealing the rights. It was restoring rights for voters
It was restoring the right to vote for felons.
after they completed their term.
I don't have the full descriptor,
Yeah,
but it was
I
for
think it
people
was
that.
yes. I'll say yes.
Okay, then for the record, that one passed.
Yeah.
Okay, Prop
Yes.
8. Prop 19, eliminated Prop 13 tax rate on inheritance of primary family home. Gail.
Yes. It was yes.
Liz.
No.
This actually passed, and it affects primary households, including those with a disabled child. Those individuals can no longer pass on the Prop 13 tax rate, causing some people to have to sell their home instead of having a home to live in. Prop 21 expands local government power to use rent control. Liz.
I don't recall, but I expect no.
Gail.
Say it again. It was
Proposition 21 expands local government power, local government, cities, to expand rent control.
probably yes.
Probably yes. And for the record, that one failed.
Yeah.
Okay. Prop 22 would maintain Lyft and Uber drivers as independent contractors. Gail.
Yeah, was yes.
And Liz.
Yes.
Yeah, and it passed. Prop 25 replaces cash bail with risk assessments. Liz.
No.
Gail.
No.
And that failed. Okay, so
Some of
was
those
there
I remembered, some I didn't.
yeah, no sweat. And I'm just going to take a minute. Are there any of the candidates that would like to expand on any of those items or topics we just brought up with the state ballot measures? This is a voluntary one, so you can choose to do it or you can choose to skip it.
Well, I was going to say,
I-
my understanding is that Prop 19, they're trying to repeal that. My understanding, there's movement to do so.
Yep. Yeah, there was a signature gathering, but they couldn't get the signatures because of COVID. So, or that's what they said.
Right.
Anyone else? Otherwise, we'll move on to standard questions that don't have
Prior my knowledge of what I did 2 years ago.
well, it's regardless of the ballot measure, you probably certainly have an opinion on rent control and all these
Right.
other issues. And,
Right.
and this is what's really important to convey to constituents, that it's not cities that do this, it's the state. And that one way to do it is through that process. And those are certainly topics that the legislature affects. So,
And propositions are complicated. I think it really takes a deep dive into reading exactly what the proposition will do and what laws it changes and what code sections it changes. So, it takes a lot of due diligence to really read through those.
fair enough.
It's also-
And then who went first on the last question?
I think Gail did.
Okay, great. All right, so SB 9 eliminated single-family house zoning and eliminates local control and goes so far as to not even require a garage or driveway within 1/2 mile of a bus line, which is 80% or more of Willow Glen. Would you support repealing SB 9?
Yes.
Okay,
Absolutely.
Liz?
Is this a yes or no question, or can I?
No, this is 1 minute, so feel free.
Oh, sure. Well, absolutely. I mean, SB 9 does not take into any consideration whatsoever of the physical and financial limitations that each city faces. And it really doesn't take into account the infrastructure and the challenges, and it takes away your rights as a citizen of your city to have a voice in your community. So it's really an attack on democracy.
Okay, and Gail, same question.
Yeah, as I've been out walking precincts, talking to voters, I'm hearing a lot of concern about housing overrides passed by the legislature. And at this point, I think we need to look and see how these laws are being implemented and what kind of impacts they will have. And certainly this is a controversial issue. It's very complex. And the way I like to work with these things is my practice is to reach out to jurisdictions, meet with neighborhood groups affected, learn about their opinion before taking any action. So I'd like to do some outreach in the community to understand exactly what kind of impact this is having and how it can be changed.
Great. So to be clear, though, you would not support repealing SB 9 straight off.
I would want to talk to the local jurisdictions to see what their position is. I don't think I'd something I
Got
would
it.
just go.
May I add something to that?
You can rebut. If you choose to
Okay,
rebut, you
well,
raise your hand
I
and like
know.
to rebut.
I know exactly what cities have to go through. It is very difficult to update your housing element to meet those requirements the state is putting on us. And with the limited land that we have and taking public testimony, it is incredibly difficult to get this through. And the state is putting cities in a very difficult position. They could even run the risk of not complying, of course, and then run the risk of getting fined and having all local control taken away. So it really is a huge struggle for every single city, and it does not belong in the hands of the state. It belongs in the hands of the people of our local jurisdictions. Done.
Sorry, I got muted. I was trying to get back on.
That's a great opinion to hear from a local city official. So thank you.
And Gail, you have up to 30 seconds. Is there anything else you'd like to say on that topic?
No, this is exactly the kind of dialogue I would want to have with the city officials to understand exactly what kind of impact this is having on their community and from the homeowners and the residents living in the community.
Great. Thanks so much. Okay. How do you balance scarcity of water and the constant demand for housing? Do you believe a geographic area has limits in carrying capacity? Liz, yeah, Liz.
Yes, absolutely. We do have limitations in carrying capacity. That's why it's such an issue. We cannot densify our housing if we do not have the water infrastructure in place to support that housing. And when we have a state that dumps 40% of its water into the ocean, it makes zero sense. You know, residential water is 10% of what we use, but we do not, you know, dumping 40% in the ocean just does not make sense. And if we really want water resiliency, we need to really rethink how we do things. We need to invest in our water infrastructure and conveyance and make sure that cities do have the carrying capacity to support their residents.
Okay, Gail.
Yeah, water is an absolute huge issue. We're in a drought and we need to be very careful, and every little drop has to be conserved. There's lots of creative ideas happening right now to basically recycle and do gray water and to get water saving tools for residents and businesses. And you know, I think that we really need, the state needs to make a really aggressive investment in drought response and water conservation. And, you know, I'm really excited about, there's a local project here in Santa Cruz County that's basically taking the wastewater and treating it and putting it back into the groundwater and being able to continue to use that. So I think the state needs to be creative, and we need to make sure that we're investing the resources so we can have climate resiliency and also meet our housing needs, because having people unhoused is not an option either.
Great. Follow-up question, Gail. Do you support waiving CEQA for desalination plants?
I think that our environment is something that we must absolutely protect. I think there's things that we can do to CEQA to streamline it and make it more efficient, but we need to have a robust environmental review of a desalination project.
Okay, and same question for Liz.
Yes, I believe that we should waive CEQA requirements, because we're at a point in California right now where environmentalism and the needs of residents are at direct odds with each other. And something's got to give. We have to have a little bit more flexibility to allow for our residents to have water and for, you know, other environmental situations. So I would waive it for the sense of desalination. And again, I would really focus on maybe not dumping 40% of our water into the ocean. I would consider building the Sites Reservoir that we never actually built, and building more conveyance. I think that our population has doubled in 40 years, but our water infrastructure hasn't. We've been asleep at the wheel. So it's time that we make these investments now. Thank you.
Great. Okay. Governor Newsom signed the Care Court bill for the severely mentally ill. However, the individual may quit court treatment at any time. When it comes to the question of the severely mentally ill who are homeless, do you lean towards compelling these individuals to treatment, or do you believe they have a right to be manic in the community of their choice? Gail.
So I am a member of NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, and we did support the Care Court bill. And we got I guess there's pilot counties are going to be launching this in 2023, and the remainder of the counties are going to be launching in December 2024. And those are big questions. We have lots of questions around the housing that's necessary, the mental health services, the workforce available, and is forcing people to receive treatment an effective form of help. I do believe it's important to get people off the streets that need care and attention, especially the severe and chronically mentally disabled. And I'm curious and looking forward to seeing how this program works. I'm hopeful.
Okay, Liz, same question.
Yes, well, I'm very happy that Newsom has gone ahead with this, because it's a recognition that compelled care has to be a piece of the solution. Back in the 60s, progressives led the efforts to defund psychiatric hospitals, leaving thousands of mentally ill patients on the streets or incarcerated. So this is an important step. You know, having learned from that mistake, this is an important step to getting people the help that they need. And I believe it's a good sign. And I believe in temporary conservatorship, and I think that we need to invest and make sure that these people are cared for. If they can't care for themselves, they need to be able to be safe and in a safe environment.
Okay. We live in a technology-focused area. What technology do you believe will improve constituents' customer experience with state government? Liz.
How about Sacramento Made Easy, or Sacramento for normal people? Anything where you could literally tap on a bill and get a clear and concise description of the bill, the pros and cons, and who's supporting it, I think would be super helpful for any constituent. And I pledge to have that kind of information on my site when I'm elected.
Okay, next, same question, Gail.
Yes, and that's something that I did a lot as county clerk, making sure that government is accessible, putting the information online, making sure that people have access, making sure it's in multiple languages and accessible to people who use screen readers. And I think that the state of California needs to do more consolidation, more efficiency. For example, we have 9 state departments that oversee 45 different homeless programs. That needs to be consolidated. People who are doing the important work of solving our homeless crisis need to have an easy way to apply for these funds and get their projects working and on the ground.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Do you support maintaining existing Proposition 13 protections? Gail.
Not for our corporate properties, no. For our wealthy need to pay their fair share.
And so just to, since you brought, does that mean, what about residential?
At this point in time, I'm looking at the corporate properties.
Oh, regardless if they're commercial or residential.
Commercial, sorry.
Okay, commercial. Okay, got it. And same question, Liz.
Absolutely, I believe in maintaining the existing Proposition 13 because it allows homeowners to stay in their home, and if they need to move, they're able to do so. I think it's very important, and it was unanimously voted. I remember as a kid when it was approved.
Great. Moving on to the next one. Do you support qualified immunity for police officers? Liz.
Yes, I believe that police officers, their due process rights are being taken away, and I would like to make sure that they're protected and that they have their due process rights intact.
Okay. Same question, Gail.
I would support that. I think that our law enforcement are out there doing important work, but I also think they need to be held accountable. And we need to make sure that there's a oversight of and review boards as well that are fair and independent.
Okay.
Yeah, I rebut that though. I also
Yes.
want to add that it's very important that they actually have peer review as well.
Okay. Anyone else? Anyone? Okay. Do you support or oppose an empty homes tax that would make property owners pay an annual tax on a vacation home, a mountain cabin, a beach shack, etc.? Gail.
I support that in concept. I think we need to make sure that it doesn't impact people who may be having to go to a long-term care facility for a health condition just because they're away from their home. They shouldn't be penalized. But I think for people who have pure vacation homes, yes.
Got it. And same question for Liz.
I would oppose it. We are already so heavily taxed in the state of California, and we're only going to drive more people out.
Okay. Moving on to a next question. Do you support or oppose mandating existing housing units eliminate gas appliances such as furnaces, stoves, and other appliances? Liz.
So we just had a meeting the other night. We talked about these reach codes, and we unanimously agreed to maintain gas appliances. It is very important, especially for ethnic cooking, Indian and Asian particularly. Our residents want to be able to have a choice, and that's important that they retain that choice.
Okay, same question, Gail.
You said it's for existing buildings?
That's right. Do you support or oppose existing housing units eliminate their gas appliances?
Yeah, I think that's certainly a goal for people who want to do that. But for new buildings, yes, I think we need to electrify. But if existing homeowners have gas, I think they should be able to continue to have that.
Okay, great. Thanks so much. Next question. Do you support or oppose taxing corporations based on employee headcount? Gail.
Taxing corporations based on employee headcount. Yes.
Liz.
I oppose any new taxes. We are already the worst business climate in the country. We are dead last. So doing anything that's going to drive businesses out of our state is detrimental to our economy.
Okay. Next question. Do you support or oppose non-citizen voting? Liz.
I oppose non-citizen voting. We have a country and we have immigrants who have worked very hard to become citizens, including my grandparents. And if you grant voting rights to non-citizens, we have no country to speak of.
Okay, and same question, Gail.
As a former county clerk registrar of voters, I can understand the desire, and I think it's very difficult to administrate. And at this point in time, am opposed.
Okay, moving on to the next question. Shoplifting appears to be no longer enforceable, having a significant impact on business. Do you have any thoughts on this topic, Gail?
I mean, keeping our community safe is one of my top priorities. Supporting businesses and making sure that they can maintain a safe environment in our communities is absolutely essential. So I think it's important that we do prosecute, we enforce these laws to make sure that people have, you know, a safe community to live in and a safe business to thrive in.
Thank you. Same question, Liz.
Well, as your assembly member, I would work to repeal Prop 47, which rose the theft threshold up to 950 and created this problem in the first place. And I would work to reclassify certain drug crimes back as felonies and certain nonviolent crimes as well as violent crimes. I would punish felons with guns, and I would reinstate deterrence to crime and stop the revolving door of repeated felons. We have to prioritize the public safety of our law-abiding residents over our criminals.
Okay. Next question.
I just want to throw
Oh,
in-
sorry. Go ahead, Gail.
I just want to throw in too, I think that we need to keep a focus on victims' rights as well, and making sure that victims have the programs and the services they need as well.
Absolutely.
Okay. Next question. Is there any issue that you feel so strongly about that you'd be willing to defy the law when it comes to fulfilling your responsibilities? Liz.
I'm not going to defy the law. I'm a law-abiding citizen.
Gail.
And I've been tested on that. I've been a staunch supporter of same-sex marriage, and as the county clerk, commissioner of marriage in Santa Cruz County, I had to tell people no, because that was the law. I took an oath to uphold the laws of the state of California and the Constitution. And I was very thrilled when the law was changed and we were able to issue same-sex marriage licenses. So I take my oath very seriously.
Okay, thank you. Next question here is, tell us something you love about the United States. Gail.
I love our pride in our families and our ability to work together. And even though there seems to be a lot of division, I'm very hopeful. I'm always somebody who looks very positive, that I think there's a lot more that unites us than divides us.
Great. And same question for Liz.
Well, I'm very proud of our country. We are the freest nation on earth, and our ancestors fought tooth and nail to get these freedoms. And it's very important that we protect them, our freedom of speech, all the freedoms granted to us by the Constitution. And I agree with Gail, we are far more united than we are divided.
Well, outstanding. Well, we've actually completed a long list of questions. And so I think the voters, after watching this, will have a definitive idea of where the two candidates stand on many state issues. So thank you so much for participating. We're going to now finish with our closing statements. So in this case, we'll go in reverse order. And in this case, Gail, your closing statement.
Okay. Of course, now I have to find it. Okay, so, well, thank you all for being here tonight. I'm honored to be endorsed by U.S. Senator Alex Padilla, Congress members Anna Eshoo, Zoe Lofgren, Jimmy Panetta, the entire delegation of Santa Clara and Santa Cruz County state legislators, and other current and former elected officials and community leaders in both counties. I've also earned the endorsements of teachers, nurses, environmental groups, labor, law enforcement, Planned Parenthood, and BAYMAC. And those endorsements, I'm so grateful to have received, are a strong indication of how closely and successfully I've worked with organizations, individuals, elected officials throughout my career, and will continue to do so as your state assembly member. I've dedicated my career to public service, and I will never lose sight of the fact that I work for you. I will represent you with passion, commitment, dedication, and persistence to ensure that the needs of our district are met. In closing, I was the caretaker of voting rights and the person who was there for people when government shut down. And I will take that same fire, creativity, and dedication to be the caretaker of your rights for representation in Sacramento. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gail. And Liz, your opportunity to close.
All right, well, thank you. Sacramento isn't listening to we the people. The needs of everyday Californians who want to feel safe in their communities, educate their children, and afford their groceries are not being prioritized. I am running to provide you, our residents, a true voice in our legislature. I am not beholden to an agenda. I am beholden to you. I have a proven track record as a member of the Montessori City Council of working collaboratively to find common sense solutions to the issues facing our city, including budget transparency and difficult land use decisions. I will bring this same approach to successfully address the challenges we face in Sacramento. I believe that most of us reside somewhere in the middle of the political spectrum, and it is those of us in this middle that are being left out of the conversation. I am running to change that. I am a founding member of Problem Solvers California, a group of candidates committed to working across the aisle to find real solutions to the problems we face, and I have signed a pledge to join the Problem Solvers Caucus in Sacramento. The choice November 8th is clear. Do you want more of the same, or do you want a common sense leader who will prioritize you? I am
Okay, thank you.
and I hope that you are heard tonight, you agree, and will vote for me, Liz Lawler, for State Assembly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both, Gail and Liz. Thank you very much for participating in the Willow Glen Neighborhood Association Forum. We wish you all both the best of luck, and we hope whoever's the winner would be attend our meetings from time to time and go through perhaps your voting record on the bills, because I think most residents lose perspective on what their local locally elected state representatives do.
Thank you very
Absolutely.
much.
Thank you all for being here. And just
Thank
make
you.
sure you
Thank
vote.
you.
Vote for change.